15 years of dedication wiped out in 15 seconds flat. The new chief financial officer didn't even bother sitting down when he delivered the blow, handing me my termination like it was a dry cleaning ticket. I stared at his pristine tie and overbearing posture, instantly recognizing a man who had never put a single honest hour of hard work into this enterprise. Instead of giving him the tearful meltdown he obviously wanted, I just offered a quiet smile and wished him luck with the upcoming quarterly reporting. Before packing up, I made sure my personal items were organized while leaving the core operational setup locked down tight beneath layers of background security. Over the years, I had survived massive system overhauls, insane workweeks, and even a massive financial fraud attempt that I privately resolved to protect the firm. My colleagues watched in disbelief as I walked past their desks without shedding a single tear. The security officer looked genuinely embarrassed as he escorted me out, but I simply hit the parking lot feeling remarkably liberated. No one higher up ever bothered to ask how our multi-million-dollar forecasting framework actually functioned behind the scenes. They only cared about receiving the polished presentation slides every quarter, completely oblivious to the custom scripts and complex databases I had spent a decade refining. By dropping the axe without understanding the foundational roots of the operations, the ambitious executive had unknowingly activated a ticking clock. The entire engine was designed to lock down completely if my specific administrative credentials went inactive for 2 straight days. I arrived home, popped open a cold drink, and quietly monitored the remote connection logs from my personal computer. Right on schedule, the system recorded the very first failed entry attempt into the primary forecasting module, instantly initiating the lockdown countdown sequence. The new executive had already scheduled a grand presentation for the board of directors, fully convinced he could glide through using sheer confidence instead of actual competence. I sat back and watched the internal system panic slowly unfold through automated backup notifications. By early the following week, minor glitches began spiraling into catastrophic operational failures across multiple finance departments. The corporate servers were throwing constant access warnings, but the self-absorbed manager simply marked the IT support tickets as resolved without looking into them. He was far too busy modifying slide designs and practicing corporate buzzwords to notice the foundation cracking beneath his feet. From my quiet kitchen counter, I watched the digital alerts escalate while enjoying my morning coffee in complete peace. Midweek team meetings quickly descended into sheer chaos as internal charts refused to populate any usable information. A brave junior analyst pointed out that the core calculations seemed completely broken, but the executive carelessly brushed her concerns aside as simple legacy glitches. He had no clue that the framework swallowed vast amounts of raw sales metrics, international tax adjustments, and market trends to spit out clear executive summaries. With the core database locked down, the upcoming high-stakes board meeting was heading straight for disaster. By Wednesday afternoon, frantic team members were whispering across internal chat channels, trying to figure out why my name kept flashing across the restricted dashboard screens. Automated override attempts kept triggering a specific warning instructing the user to contact the primary system architect for manual recalibration. Since the original co-creator had retired years ago, I was literally the only human on the planet who held the cryptographic keys. Yet, the stubborn manager refused to admit his mistake or reach out for assistance. Thursday morning arrived with the executive standing in a glass conference room, frantically jabbing at a frozen tablet screen in front of arriving board members. Bright red lockout warnings illuminated the entire display, clearly displaying my administrative ID to everyone in attendance. Down in the technology department, engineers confirmed that bypassing the encryption without my direct physical authorization was completely impossible. Admitting total failure, the executive tried to bluff his way through using outdated figures, completely unaware that his car was already crashing into a brick wall. I spent the morning sitting on my porch, enjoying the warm sunlight while tracking the endless stream of failed administrative overrides on my screen. Every single denial logged the precise device ID along with a time-stamped notice pointing directly to my contact profile. Sitting in my comfortable loungewear, I felt a deep sense of calm watching the corporate chaos unfold from a distance. Control does not require raising your voice when you hold the only key to the whole operation. Inside the executive boardroom, Major investors were growing increasingly furious as the frantic presenter offered vague excuses for the missing financial projections. One sharp-eyed partner zoomed in on the projection display and openly questioned why my full name was stamped across every rejection screen. The embarrassed presenter tried to dismiss my contributions as outdated security protocols, but the board members immediately recognized that their critical decision-making platform was completely offline. Panicked text messages began flooding my personal phone as managers desperately searched for help. The chief executive officer finally reached his limit after receiving a direct message from the legal department confirming that no transfer protocol had ever been established. He abruptly exited the presentation and demanded an immediate meeting with the chief technology officer to figure out how to bypass the lockout. The tech team bluntly informed him that forced overrides would permanently destroy over a decade of valuable market intelligence. Realizing the devastating mistake that had been made, the CEO personally requested my private phone number. My phone started ringing around 8 that evening, displaying an anonymous corporate line that I calmly let ring several times before answering. The CEO kept his tone controlled, skipping the standard pleasantries to admit that the entire executive team was currently stranded without usable forecasting tools. I casually listened to his tense explanation before asking whether he wanted a temporary patch or a permanent fix to his massive problem. The balance of power had completely shifted, and he knew it. I clearly laid out my terms, demanding full formal reinstatement with a direct reporting line straight to the top, eliminating any middle management interference. Furthermore, I insisted on a revised compensation agreement that accurately reflected my true value to the entire corporate infrastructure. The tired executive agreed without putting up a single argument, realizing that preserving the company reputation was worth far more than protecting a bad manager ego. I ended the call feeling completely serene, leaving the corporate leaders to reflect on their choices. The following morning, I walked back into the corporate headquarters wearing casual business attire, feeling completely relaxed and focused. Panicked employees watched in absolute shock as I calmly made my way toward the high-level executive floor without any security escort. Stepping into the boardroom, I found the disgraced manager sitting silently at the end of the table, looking pale and completely defeated. I set my laptop down, connected to the overhead projector, and began explaining the situation with complete clarity. I demonstrated how the intricate architecture relied on complex automated security routines to protect vital corporate data from internal tampering. I presented clear email archives showing that I had repeatedly offered to train internal successors, only for management to dismiss my requests every single time. The board listened in total silence as they realized my sudden removal was an act of pure executive incompetence. Turning directly to the nervous presenter, the CEO fired him on the spot, ordering legal counsel to escort him off the property immediately. With the disruptive manager gone, the remaining leadership team eagerly offered me an elevated executive position alongside direct authority over future system development. I pressed a few keys on my keyboard, instantly clearing the security restrictions and restoring the vibrant, accurate financial dashboards to every display screen in the room. The entire room breathed a massive sigh of relief as critical business projections filled the displays once again. Taking a seat at the head of the table, I smiled gently, ready to lead the team forward.